world just entered the second quarter of the 20th century, and the golden age of comic books has begun. Competition is fierce among publishing houses as they try to get the best team of writers and artists to create the next #1 comic book. In the age of comics, you are the owner of such a publishing house, sending your editors to complete different tasks, such as looking to hire staff, get ideas, print comics, and fulfill orders for your upcoming releases. Don't dilly-dally, for the earlier you send your editors to perform an action, the better the results will be. Once you get your comics to print, you will get fans according to your team's capabilities. And if you are the first to print a comic book of any genre, or you have the majority of printed comic books of that genre, you also get the corresponding mastery token, which grants you an additional fan and points at the end of the game. Try your hand at sci-fi, crime, western, horror, superheroes, and romance. You can even unlock additional rewards for each action by publishing more comics. This can be a very daunting task, and the others might beat you to a great idea. Don't fret, future comic tycoon. You can always print rip-offs and get a bit of the market share. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, am I right? Get your editors to work and your sales agents running around town to be the greatest publishing house.
All right, welcome back to the show. A little something different for you today. I know most times if I'm doing a Kickstarter interview, it's, I'm talking to the creator of an actual comic book. But here we have a little something different. It's a comic book based board game. It's called The Age of Comics, The Golden Years. And I have the creators with me today, and they're going to tell us a little bit about the game. And I'll go ahead and bring them in and let them introduce themselves. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So first of all, thank you for inviting us. I'm Sonia.
I am Giacomo, and together we are Lirius Games,
the creators of this board game. Yeah.
the designer publisher of the board games that we're going to talk about.
Yep. All right. So before we get talking about the board game and that, tell me. I'd like to find out a little bit about people's history with comic books, if they remember maybe the first one they read or maybe the one that inspired them to read more. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, with me is like, my love for comic books start when I was really, when I was a child, and started with, it usually happened in Italy with Disney, and then I moved into like, DC actually first, and then Marvel, and then I remember vividly my childhood and reading them was such a moment of joy. And when I usually was sick, I was like, remember this thing of like my grandmother coming home, visiting me and bringing me this huge pile of comics. So it was like the best time of the year was like being sick in bed with fever and comics, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And my history with comic books is slightly different. I also started reading as a child. I don't remember the first one, but I'm sure it's something like Disney or some Brazilian comic books. I'm Portuguese, and we used to, in the 80s, we had a lot of Brazilian comic books in Portugal. And then I stopped reading actually when I was a teenager. And thanks to Giacomo that brought me back to comic books, because we met 15 years ago, and the first gift he gave me was a comic book, and it was Persepolis by Marianne Satrapi. So this Iranian recounts the story of her growing up in Iran, and it was beautiful, and it was really the book that brought me back and made me realize I have missed out so much. And since then I've been reading, and then we've been offering comic books to each other, and now I buy my own comic books again.
Exactly. And she gave me like as a present comic book, so this is like the first circle. And now we're introducing our daughter to comic books. She likes to draw them, and she's a big fan of Reina Telgemeier, And
she's 8.
yeah, she's 8. She's like.
But we also read our comic books.
Exactly. So we read their. She gave us comic books to read, and so yeah. In my case, I really never stopped. I mean, it's been like a continuous reading throughout all my years. I was an avid collector. Then I traveled because we met in London. That was a moment in which I slightly stopped collecting single issues, but I continue just like reading paperback. And
it's one of your biggest pleasures when you.
Yeah, it is still like my one, my biggest pleasure. Just like it's something just truly magic about them that also draw us towards the theme of the game. It was it's one of the that during the pandemic people had children and dogs. In our case, we got a dog and we got a game. That is like very. So we were really we are into board game, of course, and it was like and it was like the pandemic hit. It's like what we do is like why don't we just like we start toying and play with the idea of building a board game, and then things start to snowball after a while because we have a lot of time on our hand, like everybody. And it was really a shock when I said there's nothing about, like I said, what can the board game be? And like there's nothing about the comic book industry. It's like this is like incredible because there are worker placement. What more amazing place to start to generate this imagery and this this new world and then creating having like a little company and creating the best comic book publishing company ever. So
yeah.
With that in mind, it's like we started to put things together.
All right, so let's kind of get talking about the game. I'm not into really into board games, but that's mainly because I have a 6-year-old, and that doesn't give us much time to get out of the house to meet, get together with friends, But I mean, in college I played a lot. I think when I think of some of the ones we would play in college would be like Supremacy. It's like think of Risk with nuclear weapons. but I find the concept interesting, and you kind of went into how you guys developed, got inspired to do it. But kind of tell us a bit about the game, what's involved, and just kind of what the purpose of the game is.
You want to do it?
Well, I can start to compliment. So the game is a worker placement game where the player plays the role of a fictional comic book publisher and is set in the golden age of comics in Manhattan. And so it's all based on fictional characters. And as a publisher, you can perform a series of tasks very much connected to the real life tasks that you need to perform to publish a game. So
a comic book.
A comic book, sorry. Yeah. So you hire your creatives, you develop the comic book, the idea, you generate new ideas for new series, you send them to print. You sell your ideas potentially in exchange for royalties, and you go down the streets of Manhattan to sell your books to news agents. You can basically publish within 6 genres. You pick 6 genres that were the most common, some of the most common of the period. So you can publish a romance, superhero, western, crime, horror, and I'm missing one.
And science fiction.
Science fiction. And you went to.
Yeah, and I mean everything was came together when we met this amazing artist, and her name is Laura Guglielmo, and she is a comic book artist, an illustrator. It's like it's a really whatever she touches just like bring beauty, and it's like it's an extraordinary illustrator, and now also an amazing comic book artist. She just like won a big prize here in Italy for her latest comic book. It is called Emma Wrong, and she was introduced by a friend of us that has been accompanying us from the beginning because he worked as an editor in a publishing company in Italy, and say like I think you should meet her. She has the right sensibility. And we were literally amazed, like the ideas that he brought to the creation of this, like, fiction, as I say, fictional, just like every character has been created for the game. And she find, in terms of like color scheme, she worked in a very original way. Something, you know, the game has colors that you don't usually see in other board game. We try to kind of like have a very different sort of like a different approach. We wanted to bring into this board game world also comic book fun, and eventually bring, like, you know, board gamers to read more comics. So that was really trying to like merge and have
the curiosity, the interest. See exactly
of both worlds. So the game appears as very complex. Is what is called usually in jargon is called a Euro game. That means that there's a board game with many pieces and like a big manual, big rule book. But the thing is that we tested, and we wanted to be an entry-level game. So we try to be, as they say, as much thematic as possible. And the idea is that while you're playing, you're really performing tasks. So again, and the best compliments we got on one of like the Italian con of like a board game was like, it really feels like I'm running my own publishing and I'm printing comics. And that was always the goal. And of course, like also the, you know, one, like with the ideas of building a new series of characters, and then maybe exploring other ages of comics, like, you know, silver and bronze and modern, and who knows, there's like other cultures and other territories. So it was always like we love comics, and we want to comic book fan to have their board game. We wanted board game players to say, you know what, I'm gonna read a comic.
Exactly, what theme should we work about? It's like, what's that comics, right?
We love them. They brought us to, in a way, they created they created a new connection, and say like, yeah, that should be, and that's where we are now.
And I think it's the golden age is the perfect place to start, because like, as you were because I kind of got from you, you probably can do expansion sets for the Silver Age, Bronze Age, Modern Age, the Rob Liefeld age.
Yeah, exactly. You look, I grew up with Image Comics, so there was a point in which, like, there might be a modern, either a full game or an expansion, but it's, you know, it's something that, and along the way we met like the enthusiasm of other people. Now we're gonna have a 6 guest star for like the collector's edition, and we have some pretty big name, and they're like an Italian and one Argentinian. There's Lisandro Estren, that is the artist for of Redneck, and and it's like the Danny Cates like written comic book. There's Elena Casagrande is the Eisner Award recipient for Black Widow, and she made a card that we're gonna reveal on Friday. And then there's like the Giuseppe Camuncoli, that is one of the biggest names in the comic book, being the artist on Amazing Spider-Man and Hellblazer, and then we have like Gianluca Pagliarani is like a science fiction concept artist that is like he has his he draw like Wolfskin Annual. I mean, you'll see his drawing is just simply incredible. And Francesco Biagini, that is specialized in horror, working with Glennon and Boom Studios, and is like gonna have a illustrated homage to Cthulhu. And then we have last but not least, one of the biggest one in the world, that is like Riccardo Burchelli, who was the co-creator of DMZ. And so these artists made like these 6 special cards that are gonna add new mechanics into the game. And we're very excited. And then we have like 2 young artists that is like not yet known in the comic book world. They are working on a special expansion called that is the war expansion of the game. So thematically, there was something in that, of course, in that period, we tried how to implement this element organically into the gameplay. And I mentioned everybody, right? Yeah, the couple is called like Giovanni and Marco. You were here talk about them a lot, because they are like 2 phenomenal artists. And then you'll see.
So how difficult is it to create a board game like this? I mean, my son got a Sonic the Hedgehog game, and I had to change the rules just so I could understand them. And
Well, what can I say? It's a long process. It's a lot of play testing. We are fortunate in a way that it happened. We started developing this game during the pandemic, and there were a lot of people playing online in tabletop simulators and willing to be our guinea pigs, basically, and test very early and very long and very boring possible versions of the game and give us precious feedback. And among these people we met online, mostly Giacomo that was going online.
I was at night and I was reporting to her every day and then working in the morning.
He was fortunate to meet some of the biggest names in game designers, Italian game designers, that because they couldn't go out, they were all playing online. And these guys, they were fundamental. Not only the big names, but also
everybody actually all to the point that all the names that you see on the cards are playtesters of the game.
In our creative
cards, they are like artist and writer that are named. We couldn't use like the original like creators of the period. So we decided to give the name of the card as a creator to our playtesters. And also I mean the game is like in terms of level of complexity is considered medium light. It means that also people might be, as I said, like scared by the number of components, but it's like if you are into the comic book world, you know how things work, you're gonna find pleasure. That's we try to test it with player that. I mean, if you
levels of experience.
if let's say if you already played a game like Catan or Ticket to Ride, they're like this. You will be able to play this game. And it's like that's what we did it for. Yes.
Going back to your question, the creative part of developing the game is long. I mean, we had lots of arguments, disagreements, and changes you want to make, and I didn't agree, and the other way around. Because that's what you get when you work with a partner so intensely on a project. But actually, now that we are more into the business side of things and coordinating the manufacture, the logistics, the taxes, I realized that the creative part was actually the fun part and the light one. This is like the heavy one that keeps me even more awake at night, thinking, are we doing everything right? Or am I forgetting something? And it's long spreadsheets and all this software management software trying to remind everything we have to do, and that's the most difficult part, at least for me.
It's like to me as well. There is a sort of in terms of how you like run a company, or like there is a little bit of a role playing in the sense that is you need to manage all these games that that I mentioned, and this game in particular, you need to manage resources. Mm-hmm. So you need to manage the money to hire the people and pay the comics and so on. So it is in a way, it's like we want to have a sort of like have the player understanding what it means of eventually running. I mean, in a very tiny, in a very light way. But the idea is that like, you will have to manage your resources, and you will need strategically to do the right thing.
Cool. So let's talk about the Kickstarter itself. I'm just going to bring it up on the screen here.
How's it doing?
Oh, there we go. So first off, it looks wow. I mean, it looks like you guys are have far exceeded your goal.
Yes.
I mean yes. And it was funded in 4 hours. I mean, that's great.
We're very, very, very happy.
Tell me a little bit about it. Well, tell me about what you have for the backers or people who are would back the project. And
so we have two boxes. We decided to go very simple in a way. It's very there's a standard edition that is like it's the one we have been playing so far, play tested, presented at convention, and you can see all the video, the preview, the review, the teacher. Like it's exactly that is a standard edition and comes to $45 plus shipment. And the other one is the collector's edition and is $65. and he implements like there's the set of cards that I mentioned to you. There's the war expansions. There are like other like the luxified version of the components. There's a special tray insert that allows you to pre-prepare the game so that when you set up the game easily, yes. And so yeah, we try to be very simple in the offer. As I said, we're a company of 2 people. So in order to try to keep like some prices and shipment might be seen like expenses, but we want to avoid surprises along the way and promise something that we cannot deliver. And we're saying we're very small. We want to be as transparent as we can and just like give you the best, buyer experience you can have, in the sense that we want to get you the best quality game possible. And we are already in talk with manufacturer. As you will see in some videos, the prototype is actually it's pretty solid in the sense that it's like, the comments from the reviewers are very positive. So yeah, I hope that people will enjoy it playing as much as we did actually.
Yeah, if you scroll down through our campaign, you'll see that it's kind of a big box with lots of components, as you said.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. It's in kilograms. Is the standard version is about almost 3 kilograms, which I think is 5.5 to 6 pounds, somewhere around that. And the collector's edition adds a few more
adds
items.
weight to that. Adds more items.
And yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But as we said before, the game is highly thematic. So we try, because we personally don't like games where we constantly have to go back to the rule book to understand the next step or to understand the rules and clarify instructions. So we try to do something that every rule, if every action is sensible or somehow within what we would perform a normal company. I mean, a very simple way what you do if you are running a company. And so I think we don't have any ad hoc rules just to make the mechanics work. It's just a little bit of it because it's a game, but everything
flows.
So that's I think one of our main objectives is to make something that would flow. And,
of course, some people might differ and say that it doesn't. Then it's like we did our best in really make it like strongly thematic.
So there's also components, a big rule manual, rule book, but it's
don't be scared.
It's not as difficult as it might seem.
And we are here to answer the question, and you can find many how to play video online that's like show you in a very short way or how to play. I mean, if you meet with friends, like usually when you play this kind of game, the suggestion they give is like have at least one person of the table that already went through the manual and check the video. I mean, optimally everybody should watch like the video tutorial, but it's always important to have sort of a guide, someone that knows the rule and can easily guide you. So again, we tried our best in trying to set up things that, for example, one of the thing that is we really work towards is that if when you start playing, if as your first move in the game, if you want, you can already print a comic book, print and publish a comic book. And the other cool thing is that, and then what will happen when you print, you put down your team of like writing artists, and on top of that, the card of with the comic book, and you receive a mini version of the comic book that is going to help you track the number of fans, because the most important thing in the game are the fans.
It's not about making money.
It's not about making money. Exactly.
Because, I mean, money counts towards the end if to win, obviously, but there will be taxes at the end, so the money is highly discounted. So what counts the most is the number of fans that you, as a comic book publisher, manage to gather through the 5 rounds of the game. And yeah, one of our cutest components, I think, is that we make these cardboard mini comic books with actually these original covers created by Laura. And also we have like as it was practice at that time, there were a lot of rip-offs. So if you're desperate, or like if you want to follow a certain kind of strategy, you can print rip-off of the comic books that are already been published. And they're like distorted version of the one that we changed the title of some of
of the cards we have, but it's
we
like
change the colors, maybe the cheaper version,
yeah,
color-wise, with a changed title.
And again, people seems to have a laugh when they read the titles. They're just like, you know, twisted version is like it's yeah, you will laugh a little bit throughout the game as well. Hopefully, we hope. So yes, we try to implement many things. Yes.
So is there anything else about the game or the Kickstarter that maybe maybe I didn't cover that you wanted to say? And if not, if you want to give
one thing actually, we decided to have like the collector's edition will be available for Kickstarter backers only here in the Kickstarter, and then in the second phase that is called Pledge Manager. Basically, when you close a Kickstarter, after a while you open like what is called is a secondary shop in which you finalize your order, you pay shipment, and you confirm addresses and things like that. But anyways, like yeah, it's gonna be available only on this.
Meaning that it's not gonna be available in retail.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to make it special, exclusive to Kickstarter, basically.
Yeah.
And the only thing we wanted to say, do you want to say about this context that we are for design your own cover? Maybe.
Oh, actually, we are. This is really new. This is a little. Yeah, it's very, very new. We want to launch a small competition, and where we can win a collector's edition. And if you want to enter, you will have to draw your own version of a Golden Age comic book. Of course, like characters have to be completely invented by you. We cannot use like the copyrighted characters. But yeah, the idea is doing we'll keep you posted on that, and like but a little competition and voted by the audience. Voted by the audience.
Open to everyone, backers and no backers.
Professional, non-professional, backers, no backers, everyone, and then you can win if the audience decides so. You will win a collector's edition of the game.
Very nice. So, as we wrap up, you want to give one final pitch for the Kickstarter and where people can find you on social media and all that?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, it's like help us build a new age of comics. That's been like our slogan for a while, and you can find us online on Facebook, Discord. Best thing to go and start from there. Twitter, Instagram, and it's the liriusgames.com. And if you put Age of Comics, board game, Lirius Games, you will find us very easily. And the game again is Age of Comics: The Golden Years.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for taking time. I know we had a little bit because you guys are in Italy, right?
We are in Italy, yes.
Yeah,
all right.
9:31 p.m.
It's still early.
It's still early.
And as I said, I'm not very good with time zones, so luckily I was able to put our times into the internet, and it gave me the answer I was looking for. But I'm glad we got to talk about the game, and best of luck. You have 3 more weeks for the. As we're talking about this, 3 more weeks for the campaign, so still plenty of time for people to jump on and take advantage and
give us feedback. We're trying to implement feedback as much as we can, explaining the process and why we took some choices and why we took others. So yeah, join the conversation, even if you have just interest in have your say and
email
yeah.
Us and yes.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, and maybe when we when you come out with the expansion or your next game, we'll have you back on to talk about that. And best of luck with the game. It looks fun, and then hope you big things for you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, stay safe and stay healthy.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.